everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF Race of the Day for Thursday, December the 29th. It's race number 8 at Gulfstream Park. We're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf for fillies and mares. It's a high-level allowance race with a $75,000 claiming option. Let's take a peek at this field. Please scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on your mobile device. Field of 10 expected to go on our Race of the Day, and as we throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector, I do agree that the 10 traffic song is not only the speed, but she is the key to this race, because her most recent start, the Dahlia, was at 1 mile on the turf way back in April, and she had no chance the way the race was run. It was run at a wicked pace in an 11-horse field. The 2 pace setters who dueled throughout, one of them traffic song, well, they finished 10th and 11th. This time out, it might not be so difficult for Traffic Song to get to the lead and relax a little bit more. She certainly won't have to work as hard to get to the front as she did last time out. We'll begin our analysis in post-position order, beginning with the number 1, Lady Day. This is a stakes winner in France who was sent through the auction ring in France in 2021 and was listed as an RNA for about $580,000. She missed over a year after that race. She resurfaced for trainer Chad Brown, who does very, very well, obviously, with European invaders, especially horses on the turf. Lady Day, however, did not run very well in her start off the layoff, her one and only race for Chad at the Belmont at Aqueduct meet. She was 11-10 that day. She was beaten almost 25 lengths. She also faced a stakes quality cast. The winner of that race coming right back to win a stake at Aqueduct with a 94 Beyer speed figure. Lady Day certainly classes up with these horses. She probably gained a great deal of fitness from her most recent start, and this inside post position coupled with her tactical speed, she doesn't seem to be a horse that, like many Europeans, breaks slow from the gate and then needs a lot of pace. She seems a little bit more tactical. She can work out a trip from the inside post, demand a little bit of value, because there's always a question about whether she can still run off of that most recent start off a long layoff, which didn't yield good results. The 2 is Beach Nut Trophy, and this is a very lightly raced 3-year-old trained by Safi Joseph. She's done some good things in her career. Her most recent start was the Dueling Grounds Oaks at Kentucky Downs, going 1 mile and 5/16, and I wonder if that distance was just a little bit far for her. She broke fine. She sat in a nice position in the pocket early, split horses on the backstretch, was down inside turning for home, and she ran on fine to be 5th. That was a race that produced a couple of next out winners. The runner-up Skims came back to take the Grade 2 Sands Point with a 90 Beyer speed figure. Beach Nut Trophy has had time to get over that race, about 3 months or so. She does seem to have some tactical speed, although I do think she's more of a close-in type. Beach Nut Trophy fits, obviously, from a Beyer speed figure standpoint. The Safi Joseph barn going very well right now. Tyler Gaffalione takes the mount on Beach Nut Trophy, who already has 2 prior victories at Gulfstream Park. The number 3 is Sweet Enough. Sweet Enough last raced on the Woodbine to PETA surface, the Bessarabian, on November the 12th. And if there's one thing I know about Sweet Enough from watching a couple of her races back when she started her career overseas, is she's much better on turf than she is on synthetic. There was really no excuse for the last race on synthetic. She was part of a multi-horse pace dispute, but the pace wasn't necessarily fast for a 7/8 of a mile stake at Woodbine, and she just tired very badly in the stretch. The 4th place horse did come back to win a first level allowance over the Woodbine to PETA with an 85 Beyer. I think Sweet Enough is a lot better on turf. Her only turf start in North America came way back in April at Keeneland. She found a very hard allowance race. She was ranked in the early portion of that race, and I think that took some of the starch out of her. So she's a bit dirtied up. Her form in Europe is quite okay for trainer Roger Atfield. 6-1 to me is a little bit light. I need a little bit more on Sweet Enough, but she does seem to have some tactical speed and excuses for her most recent starts. My Candy Girl is up next. This horse was purchased at public auction for $70,000 in November, made her first start for these connections the following month, already paying dividends. Let's watch My Candy Girls win in a first level allowance. This race is at Gulfstream Park at 1 mile. She came from off of it on. She wins by a head at a very good price, 13-1. I'm familiar with My Candy Girl from when she was trained by Brittany Russell in the Mid-Atlantic area, and she was always a solid first level allowance type, although she was stuck in that condition for quite some time. She is a mare that needs a little bit of pace and race luck, but she's going to come running on at the end, and you know what you're going to get from her. It's usually a Beyer speed figure in the mid to high 70s. Up next is the number 5, Starship Enterprise. Starship Enterprise made her most recent start in a second level allowance race, going a 2-turn 7.5 furlongs, and she just was outrun that day. Maybe 7.5 is too short, but her recent form indicates that maybe she needs a slight drop in class. She certainly needs a fast pace. She doesn't have a lot of early speed. In a race where the pace is anything but glacial, she usually finds herself far behind, and I'm not sure she's the best closer in this one. The number 6 is Sonar. This will be a turf debut for a 5-year-old mare who has basically been kept sprinting on the main track. She tried dirt last time out, going 7/8. She was beaten by a sharp horse that day. 2 starts back, she tried the Tapeta surface at Gulfstream, going 5/8. I think 5/8 is a little sharp for Sonar. Stretching out, she should show a little bit more speed. Not sure if there's enough turf in here to get me interested on the 6 Sonar, though. This seems like a tough spot for her to make her initial start on the surface. Rosebud's Hope is the 7, coming down from Woodbine for trainer Kevin Attard. Let's watch her most recent race and win. The 7-year-old scoring at Woodbine, a 1-turn mile and a 16th. She got a great trip against a weak field. She basically saved ground in the pocket, shifted out to the outside, and is on her merry way. She has won 3 of her last 5 starts. She is a good middle distance specialist up at Woodbine. Most of those races 1 turn, although she's also done good work going 2 turns over the Woodbine inner turf, and I do like her tactical speed. She showed in her last race that she doesn't need the lead to win, and Rosebud's Hope, I think this extra dimension will help her a lot here. Jose Ortiz takes the mount. Starship Nana is up next. Her most recent start came off of a long layoff, about 5.5 months, and just didn't really fire. I think it was the kind of race where she ran on a little bit at the end. She gained a lot of fitness, and she can take a significant step forward at a big price in here. Before she went to the sideline, she was racing in very, very good form for trainer Steven Dwoskin, most notably over the synthetic surface, the Tapeta surface at Gulfstream. But that last race, again, I think was more of a fitness builder for her off the layoff. She was dismissed at a big price. She hung around near the back of the pack and passed some tired horses in the stretch. If this pace heats up, maybe you'll see Starship Nana come with a kick to make your single race exotics at the very least. We'll move on to the number 9, Miss Bonnie T. Miss Bonnie T finished 3rd in her most recent race. We're going to take a look at that right now. This is a 7.5 furlong race on the turf at Gulfstream. For the most part, I thought Miss Bonnie T had a pretty decent trip in here. She was able to save ground most of the way in mid-pack behind a solid pace. She's going to get to the outside. She will come with a run to finish 3rd. It was her first race off of a short layoff. She was good enough to win her maiden for $75,000 at Saratoga 3 starts back. She began her career for trainer David Donkin. It looked like she couldn't get out of her own way. But her last 3 starts are much improved, and I just have a feeling this filly's figured the game out. She may not be as tactical as some of the others in here. She might need a bit of pace help, but Miss Bonnie T is in sneaky good form, and I'm not looking at her as a horse with a lot more seconds and thirds than wins on her resume. She's figured it out recently. Traffic Song completes the field. Trainer Jimmy Toner bringing her back off of a long layoff, but that last race again in the Dahlia was just a complete and utter throwout. She was caught up in a speed duel with a stakes horse, Don't Let Sweet Fool You. They ended up running last and next to last, throw the race out. The race before that was the Sand Springs, going a mile and a 16th. It was a stakes race on the turf at Gulfstream. She never got out of first gear that day. She basically trailed, but she was in pretty tough. Her race 3 starts back, now we're going back almost a year now, was a first level allowance race where she showed good speed on the turf, she shook clear, and she kept on going. If she runs back to that race, and there's a chance she might with the pace scenario up front, I just expect Jorge Ruiz to send her to the lead. Traffic Song might be able to steal this. Her last 2 races, you could probably give excuses. In against Too Tough, Too Back, in a wicked pace battle last time out. She's a curious pace play at 6-1. I won't be surprised if Chad wins this race with the number 1 Lady Day. Before we get to my top selections, however, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRF video franchises. I'll go with a price. I want Miss Bonnie T, the 9. I think she's figured the game out in her last few races. She's 6-1 on the morning line. I thought her last performance at Gulfstream off the layoff was a useful performance that they could build on in only her second start against winners. She's pretty quickly moved through her conditions. She'll be my top pick in the Thursday race of the day, one of the features at Gulfstream Park. Good luck.